My name is Daniel Carter. I was the kind of man who believed love could weather anything. I'd seen it firsthand. My parents were married 40 years before my father passed. Through job losses, sickness, even losing a child, they stuck together. That's what love was to me: loyalty, sacrifice, and showing up even when it was hard. I never expected to meet Rachel at a gas station of all places. I was rushing to work, half asleep and cranky because the coffee machine in my apartment was broken again. She was in line ahead of me, struggling to pay with a phone that wouldn't scan. I stepped in, paid for her gas and coffee without thinking, and earned a thank you smile that hit me like a freight train. She was stunning: hazel eyes, honey brown curls, and a laugh that made you want to say something stupid just to hear it again. We talked for 10 minutes in that parking lot. She was funny, quick-witted, and surprisingly down to earth. I gave her my number, thinking I'd never hear from her again. But she called that night. Our first date turned into another, then another. Months flew by, and suddenly we were sharing keys, picking out paint samples for our new apartment, talking about future kids. I thought I had won the lottery. I was just a mid-level operations manager working my way up in a logistics firm, but she made me feel like I was enough as long as I kept trying. Rachel wanted a wedding in the spring. She said May felt hopeful. We got married under a cascade of white roses in a garden outside the city. She cried during her vows. So did I. I remember thinking, how did I get so lucky? Over the years, I gave her everything I could. Promotions went straight to savings. I cut corners on myself so she could chase her interior design dreams. We moved into a nicer condo. I upgraded her car before mine. She said I was the most thoughtful man she'd ever known. And I believed her. We weren't rich, but we were building. And the house? That was the dream. She used to browse listings late at night, eyes gleaming as she pointed out wraparound porches and clawfoot tubs. I want a place that feels like us, she said one night. I promised I'd make it happen. It took me 2 years, late nights, side gigs, canceled vacations, but I finally had enough saved for a down payment. I found the perfect place, a classic colonial just outside the city, with the exact porch she dreamed of and a big backyard for the dog we always talked about getting. I surprised her with the offer letter. She cried again, except this time, it felt different. Her hug lingered, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. I chalked it up to shock. I mean, who expects their husband to buy them a house on a Tuesday? The closing was set for a Friday afternoon. I spent that morning rehearsing what I'd say, how this was a symbol of our next chapter, how proud I was to do this with her. I imagined us toasting in the empty living room, laughing, planning paint colors. I even picked up her favorite wine. But what I got was not a toast. It was betrayal. She waited until the ink dried, until we signed every document, until the real estate agent shook our hands and left. Then she reached into her purse and handed me a thick envelope. Daniel, she said, her voice steady but cold, we need to talk. Inside were divorce papers. And just like that, the woman I gave everything to, my love, my money, my loyalty, walked away with my heart and half my future in her hands. I stood in the foyer of the house I just bought for her, staring at the front door as it closed behind her. And that's where it all began. I stood in the middle of my new living room, holding the divorce papers like they were radioactive. The house still smelled like fresh paint and floor varnish. The sun poured through the big bay windows Rachel had once said would be perfect for lazy Sunday mornings. But there was no warmth left. Not in the room. Not in me. I didn't move for minutes. Maybe longer. My mind was sprinting, but my body felt like stone. I replayed her words, we need to talk, on a loop, like there was something I missed. Something I could rewind and fix. But no. Her decision had been made long before the closing. When I finally opened the envelope, I saw that everything was planned out: dates, filings, even her new address. She'd been preparing for this. While I was saving, working overtime, dreaming about our future, she was dreaming of an exit. I called her. She didn't answer. I texted. What is this? Where are you? No response. By nightfall, her closet was half empty. A few hangers dangled like ghosts, and the perfume she always wore, vanilla and sandalwood, was still in the air, taunting me. She didn't even have the decency to take everything. Just enough to hurt me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of the master bedroom, looking at the walls we were supposed to paint together. It was supposed to be storm gray, her favorite. She used to joke that it made her feel safe, like wrapping yourself in a rainy day. What a joke. The next morning, I called my lawyer friend, Mark. We hadn't spoken in months, but I didn't care. I needed help. I forwarded him the papers. He called me back 10 minutes later, stunned. Daniel, this wasn't rushed. She's been working on this for a while. Define a while, I asked, barely able to breathe. Over a year. At least. She's got her financials separated. She's requesting spousal support. She even had a prenup amendment filed quietly 6 months ago. Did you sign something weird back in November? My stomach dropped. I had. It was after dinner one night. She said it was for a business license she was registering. I didn't even read it, I trusted her. Like an idiot. Mark went silent for a beat. She's building a case to say she supported you. I laughed. A dry, broken laugh that didn't sound like me. The next few days were a blur of anger and shame. I called her again, no answer. Sent her an email, no reply. Her friends either ghosted me or sent generic lines like, "This isn't our place," or "We're sure you'll get through this." Even her parents, who once said I was the best thing that happened to her, refused to get involved. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't impulsive. It wasn't an emotional decision. It was a strategy. Rachel waited until I was most vulnerable, financially and emotionally invested, so she could strike with maximum damage and minimal resistance. She let me do all the heavy lifting, and when the foundation was solid, she claimed her share and walked away without looking back. Worse? The house I bought her, the very one I thought would be a symbol of our love, was technically a joint asset. Even though I paid every cent. I moved in alone. She never came back. Each day felt like peeling off a bandage that wouldn't stop bleeding. I didn't know what hurt more, the betrayal or how meticulously she planned it. But by the end of that first week, a fire started building in my chest. The pain turned to clarity. The clarity turned into resolve. She thought she broke me. She didn't realize. I was just getting started. If heartbreak is a storm, then betrayal is the eye of it, silent, deadly, and impossible to ignore. After the shock wore off, I started digging. Not out of bitterness, at least, that's what I told myself, but out of self-preservation. Rachel had flipped the script so suddenly, I couldn't shake the feeling there was more. And I was right. It started with the finances. My lawyer, Mark, ran through our joint records. On paper, everything looked fine until we reached the credit cards. She had opened 3 new ones in the past year, all under her name. When I asked her about it before, she said they were for her interior design clients, easier to keep things separate. I believed her. But now I could see the charges. High-end restaurants I'd never been to. Hotel rooms. Designer clothes I never saw her wear at home. And always, 2 tickets. 2 meals. 2 drinks. 2 keycards. I felt sick. Still, I held on to hope. Maybe she was just spending recklessly. Maybe I was paranoid. That delusion shattered when I saw the texts. Her phone account was under our joint family plan, and though I didn't have access to the messages themselves, the numbers, timestamps, and frequency painted a clear picture. Late-night calls. Early morning texts. Dozens of messages to one number every single day. It was saved under Taylor, a unisex name that could have passed for a client. But I knew better. I ran a reverse lookup. The number belonged to Taylor Klein. Her ex. The same Taylor she dated in college. The one she told me had messed her up so bad she never wanted to look back. The one she dodged a bullet with. The one she blocked when we first got married. Apparently, the block didn't last. I stared at my laptop screen, numb. The timeline matched. The emotional distance. The sudden business trips. The way she started wearing perfume to go out with friends and turning her phone face down at dinner. All the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. I asked myself 100 times, why didn't she just leave sooner? But I knew the answer. It was me. I was stability. I was financing her lifestyle while she got her exit plan ready. I wasn't her partner. I was her parachute. And the worst part? I still remembered the way she looked at me while I signed the house papers. She smiled. She even kissed my cheek. A soft kiss. The kind that says thank you. That wasn't love. That was performance. I confronted her. Finally. I texted. I know about Taylor. You could have just told me. Minutes later, she replied. The first reply in over a week. It's complicated. I never meant to hurt you. I laughed out loud. That line should be engraved on the tombstone of every broken man. Then came the follow-up. Please stop digging. Let's just let this go as cleanly as possible. Let this go? After everything? No. This wasn't just about Rachel anymore. This was about how people like her move through the world unchecked. Manipulating, smiling, taking and walking away before the damage finishes falling. She chose to betray me. I chose to fight back with facts. Mark and I got to work. We compiled everything: phone records, bank statements, digital receipts, call logs. And when I found a photo of her and Taylor together, dated 6 months before our house closing, that sealed the deal. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. She thought she could control the story, that I'd fold quietly, just like she planned. But Rachel forgot one thing. She taught me to stop being naive. And now, I was going to show her who she really underestimated. I used to believe that love was about giving your time, your energy, your whole heart. But after Rachel, I learned something else. Love without honesty is just a debt waiting to be collected. After compiling all the evidence, her affair, the financial deception, the signed prenup amendment she tricked me into, I had leverage. And I was going to use it. Not for revenge. For justice. For closure. Mark filed a countersuit. We argued that Rachel had committed fraud, knowingly misrepresenting her intentions while financially benefiting from the marriage. The amended prenup? Voided. The evidence of infidelity? Submitted. The fact that I'd paid the entire down payment on the house from my account? Ironclad. Rachel's lawyer tried to settle quietly. They offered me the house in exchange for no spousal support and a sealed agreement. That told me two things. 1, they were scared. 2, she had something to hide. I declined. Instead, I pushed for trial. And during the pre-trial deposition, everything unraveled. Rachel admitted under oath that she had reconnected with Taylor before our closing. That she'd been emotionally confused. That she needed security but realized she was meant to be elsewhere. I sat across from her, watching the cracks finally show. No smile this time. No fake tears. Just a woman exposed. When it was over, her lawyer pulled me aside and said, "You're getting everything. Just walk away after this." I nodded. But something still gnawed at me. Not anger, grief. Grief for the man I used to be. The one who believed love always won. Who bought a house with a hopeful heart. Who didn't see the train wreck coming until it hit him head-on. The court granted me full ownership of the house. She got nothing. No spousal support. No claims. No second chances. And when the judge signed the final papers, I walked out of the courthouse lighter than I'd felt in months. But the house? I couldn't stay there. It was built on lies. Every room held a ghost of who I thought she was. So I sold it. For a profit. And I used that money to buy a smaller place by the lake. Quiet. Clean. Mine. I cut ties with her completely. Blocked her number. Deleted every old photo. Even gave the dog's name back to the shelter registry. Rachel and I were done. Not just legally, but spiritually. It took time, therapy, and a few lonely nights, but I rebuilt. I started volunteering with financial literacy groups, helping young couples avoid the mistakes I made. I even launched a side business with Mark, helping people review contracts before they sign. We called it Read the Fine Print. And in that little house by the lake, I found peace again. I drank coffee without looking at the clock. I went for walks without waiting for a text back. I learned how to love my own company. Burnt bridges leave ashes. But sometimes, ashes become soil. And in that soil, something stronger can grow. It was nearly a year later when I got the email. Subject line: Can we talk? Sender, Rachel Carter. For a long moment, I just stared at the screen. I was in my new kitchen, barefoot, coffee in hand, the lake breeze drifting through the open window. Life was calm. Balanced. Mine. And then her name popped up like a virus trying to reinstall itself. Curiosity tugged at me. I clicked. Hi, Daniel. I know this might come as a surprise, but I just wanted to talk. No lawyers, no drama. I don't know. Maybe I just want to explain. Maybe I'm sorry. Hope you're doing well. No apology. No ownership. Just, maybe. She wanted closure. She wanted me to give her peace. But here's the thing about peace: you have to earn it. She took my trust, my future, my love, and tried to cash it in like a pawn ticket when she thought I was broken. And now, after I rebuilt myself from the rubble, she wanted a front row seat to my healing? No. So I didn't reply. Not the next day. Not the next week. 3 months later, she tried again. I saw your new place online. It's beautiful. I'm glad you're okay. I guess I just wonder if we could ever talk about it. One last time. But I'd already said everything I needed to say in court, in therapy, in the silence that followed her exit. And the most powerful thing I could do now was say nothing. I archived the message. I didn't block her, I just muted the past. She didn't deserve rage. Or revenge. Or even forgiveness. She deserved absence. Rachel once told me silence was the loudest sound in a relationship. So that's exactly what I gave her. And it turns out, silence sounds a lot like peace.